In this movie, we're going to create a caption below the Tin Woodman because, as you can see, if I go ahead and press Control-0 or Command-0 on the Mac to zoom out, he's got room for a caption beneath him. And then we're going to format that caption, and finally, we're going to save those formatting attributes as a paragraph style that we can then apply to future paragraphs, as we'll see in the next movie. So the first thing we want to do here is find what's known as a pull quote, which is a quote from the text itself, which will help to explain this graphic. And so I'm going to press Shift Page down in order to advance to the second artboard. And notice this paragraph right here that begins with, "So they oiled his legs until he could move them freely." It's these next two lines that I want to grab. And so I'll go ahead and double-click anywhere inside the text in order to switch to the Type tool. And then I'll marquee everything after this semicolon right here. So everything from the word "and" to this period after the word "grateful." And then I'll go up to the Edit menu and choose the Copy command, or you can press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac. All right, now I'll go ahead and press the Escape key in order to switch back to the black arrow tool. And I'm just going to spacebar drag my way back to the first artboard so that we're zoomed into this area below the Tin Man's feet. All right, now I'm going to click right here in order to select that rectangle that we used to text wrap this third column onto the next artboard. I just want you to remember it's here. And that's because what I need to do is draw a new text frame down here below the Tin Man. And I'm going to do that using the Type tool, which I can either select from the toolbox, or I can get it by pressing the T key. And now notice if I hover over the edge of this rectangle, that my cursor turns into an I-beam surrounded by a dotted circle. That's not what I want, because it indicates that I'm going to put my text inside of this shape. Instead, I want an I-beam surrounded by a dotted square, which shows me that I'm going to create a new text frame just by dragging like so. And now that I have this text frame, I'll go up to the Edit menu and choose the Paste command, or I can just press Control-V here on the PC or Command-V on the Mac, and that will go ahead and paste that text into this frame. All right, now I'm going to modify the text a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and replace this text right here with the letter T, so we have the word "the," and then I'll click after that word and enter Tin Woodman like so that we're making it clear who the subject of the sentence is. All right, and now I'll press the Escape key in order to exit the text entry mode and switch back to the black arrow tool. All right, now notice that my text frame remains selected, which means I can format this entire paragraph by going up to the control panel and changing, for example, the style from regular to, for example, italic. And I could go with italic caption, of course, which is presumably going to give me a little higher X height. That is, it's going to make my lowercase letters a little taller. But it's unlikely that you have that style on your machine, so I'll just stick with italic. And then I'll click on the word "character" to bring up my character panel. And I'll click on this type size icon in order to highlight the value, and I'll change it to 16, and then I'll tab over to the leading value, and I'll change it to 18, like so. And then I'll press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac to make that change. And then finally, I'll go over here to my swatches panel. I'll make sure the fill is active, and then I'll click on the shade of blue, let's say R0G113B188, in order to change the color of that text like so. All right, now I have a specific idea in mind for how big this text frame should be. And to apply those values, I'll go up to the Type menu and choose Area Type Options. And now I'll just go ahead and change the width value to something very close to what it already is, 284, so 284 points. And then I'll click on the word height here in order to make that value active, and I'll change it to 52 points. And then I'll press the Tab key to advance to the next option, and that way I can turn on the preview checkbox and see my changes applied here on screen. At which point I'll go ahead and click OK in order to accept that change. And now I'll drag that text frame a little bit over so that it snaps into alignment with the bottom right corner of the margin guide. All right, now let's say I want to save all of these formatting attributes as what's known as a paragraph style. And here you're going to have to give me a leap of faith, because it's not till the next movie that I'll prove just how useful these things are. But if you give me a little bit of latitude here, go up to the window menu and then go all the way down until you come across the Type option. And then that'll bring up a submenu as we're seeing right here, at which point you can choose paragraph styles in order to bring up the paragraph styles panel. Now, the great thing about paragraph styles versus character styles is that paragraph styles save more formatting attributes. So in a nutshell, a character style will save character level formatting attributes such as font and type size and color, whereas a paragraph style will save everything, including what I just told you, as well as alignment and paragraph spacing and so on. So when in doubt, when you're saving formatting attributes, you want a paragraph style, at which point you want to create the style by clicking on this little page icon. The problem is if you do that, you'll create an unnamed style here inside the paragraph styles panel, and then you'll have to turn around and rename it, which can become very confusing if you have more than a handful of styles inside this panel. So what I recommend you do is name the style as you create it by pressing the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac, and then clicking on that page icon, and that'll bring up this ginormous paragraph style options dialog box, at which point all you have to do is name the style. You really don't have to do anything else, although you can just go ahead and confirm a few attributes such as Minion Pro, italics, size is 16 point, leading is 18 point, and so forth. So in other words, everything about this text block is intact, at which point you can go ahead and click OK in order to create that new style called caption. And now, just for good measure, you want to apply that style to the selected text by clicking on it. Now, at that point, you may see a little plus sign after the word caption. If you do, that indicates that you might potentially have local overrides, meaning that there might be some differences between this text and the style. Just to make sure everything is copacetic, go ahead and press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac. You shouldn't have to do this, but you do. Anytime you see a plus sign, go ahead and Alt click or Option click on it in order to make sure that there are no local overrides and that everything about this text block matches this paragraph style, at which point you can go ahead and close this panel. And we are now in a position to reapply these exact same formatting attributes to future paragraphs, just as I'll demonstrate in the very next movie.